What's up? How you doing? Here we are, Sunday evening. The weekend is over, and I got some chicken here with some potatoes. I don't know if you can see that, and I have some Retsina. Gonna have a little bit, not too much. Don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Don't get in your car after you've had alcohol and you feel dizzy. Don't do it. Drink at your house. Have a little bit at your house, or if you're staying at a hotel. Smells like floor cleaner. Nice and cold. I took it out of the refrigeration system inside. Very refreshing. It's like I don't know, tough to describe, like pine sol, something like that. If you were drinking pine sol with maybe a little bit of I don't know, citrus fruit, that's what it would taste like. So good chicken. It's not bad out. Slightly cool. You know, when it's evening like this, I always fantasize about having it doesn't have to be a yacht. It could be you know, like no, 25-foot boat, and I want to be in the middle of the ocean, nighttime. It could be cloudy out, it could be a full moon, doesn't matter. And it could be just me, could be a couple of people I know, a couple of friends, and we're heading towards Catalina Island. And maybe there's a little bit of a kitchen in there, maybe I'm cooking something, you know, good steak, good octopus. And kind of like that scene from Jaws. Remember there's a scene in Jaws there, the movie, where that, was he a captain or something? He's talking about his wartime stories with, what's his name there? Guy from Close Encounters there. But anyway, that's the kind of situation I like to be in. And then way in the distance, after a while of being in the water, you see an island, you know, preferably uninhabited, but it could be Catalina Island too. You know, have a nice CB in there where you can communicate with people in case you have issues with the boat. You know, Retsina makes the food taste better. So it's almost like it's an appetizer to make you more hungry. Just makes the food taste better. But anyway, yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to get in a boat. You know, not a big boat, but you know, something that's comfortable. And have a couple of those Mercury engines in the back in case something happens, you want to go fast. But you know, going at like 30 knots per hour. And then when you get to the island, you want to dock on the backside. Maybe go to bed on the boat, or set up a tent further back from the shoreline so you're gonna get washed away. You always want to have good company if you're going to have people at all. Otherwise, go by yourself. You don't want to have people that you don't get along with, or you may have a person where your personalities are opposite, and I don't mean the kind that attract, which I find hard to believe. Opposites attract. They attract for what? Fighting. But you want to be with people that you get along with. You're simpatico. Otherwise, what's the point? Go by yourself and enjoy it better. Because there are people that your personality and their personality doesn't fit right. So it's not a good combination. You don't get along, and those are the kind of people that are toxic to you. To someone else, they may be a perfect fit and they're not toxic. But quiet. Retsina Malamatina rhymes. But if you haven't had this stuff, it tastes like cleaner, like floor cleaner. And I think they make it out of that same stuff, like Retsina, right? Retsina from pine trees has that flavor. Somebody said, I'm going to make alcohol using pine trees, and they made it. It's not that strong. It's wine, basically. 11% alcohol. It's 11%. So it's twice as strong as beer, but nowhere near what the hard stuff is. And hard stuff, you have to be careful. You don't want to, because hard stuff sneaks up on you. You want to be in a safe place like your house or a hotel where you're sleeping over with the hard stuff, or you're going to have one. Because if you have too many, it's a delayed reaction, and then all of a sudden you're lit, and you get in trouble. So always drink a little bit, not too much. This chicken's good. It's a late night snack. Another thing that's creepy at night, and I've done it because I had to go somewhere, but mountain climbing. One time, like by yourself, it's even more creepier, but one time there was a group of us, and we went to Mount Waterman. The Mount Waterman was another time. Mount Waterman was kind of creepy too. We went up there, it was getting a little bit dark. And then finally we went to the spot, Mama's boy. Finally we went to the spot where we were going to set up our tents. And I didn't have a tent back then, so I had one of the people that we went hiking with, that I went hiking with, he said he had an extra one. He goes, I'll give it to you, no problem, you could use it. And I said, okay. And then I have a nice Stanley steel thermos, keeps water ice cold, but it's heavy. And with these hikers, they would measure the ounces on everything. Now I didn't care, so he sees me with that, and he's like, you can't bring that. He goes, that's too heavy. He goes, let me get you something. So he goes into his garage. This is in Pasadena. I went to his house, went to his garage, and he brings out one of those plastic rubbery things that you put on your back, and then there's a straw that sits right here, so as you're hiking, you know, you can drink from the straw. And when he gave it to me, it had a unique smell to it, like old dried out saliva, or a gym shirt had that smell to it. And I was thinking, I'm all set. I'm not going to use that. I was thinking in my head, I'm not going to use it, but I said to him, I'm okay, I don't need that. I said, I have something and I don't care about the weight. So he goes, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. I can imagine how much saliva. It was probably like a trumpet full of saliva all dried out. I mean, but those things you have to mix a little bit of chlorine and water, shake it up inside, and rinse it 3-4 times. You can't just rinse it and hang it up on the wall. You know, I mean, the bacteria in there. That's probably why we had this pandemic. People like that. So anyway, I went home that day and I grabbed my Stanley, my big Stanley. I filled it up with ice water, and the next day I was ready to go. So I didn't care that, you know, I had an extra pound of weight on me. And we went hiking. It was getting dark. We got up there. We set up the tents. Went inside. My tent had a floor like everybody else's. And then I wandered off, and I mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. I wandered off, and I got lost. You know, I mean, I would have found him eventually, but at nighttime on a mountaintop, it's just, you lose where you are. And then I couldn't see them anymore because they were off the other side. So I'm like, where'd they go, man? I know, they didn't go anywhere. I went somewhere. And we had 2 dogs with us. And all of a sudden, in the distance, I could see, you know, something coming towards me with a light. They had a light around their collar. And they found me. They found me. They came up to me and they brought me back. So I'm a big fan of dogs for many reasons, but that's one. And plus, you can hike with them during the day. But yeah. And then one of the guys, he had to get up really early to get back to work. So he had to get up at like 4 in the morning. And he had to hike. He had to hike back down Waterman. So I set up my tent, and I was thinking about bears, black bears, you know, kind of getting hungry and crashing the tent. But I go, we have dogs with us, they're gonna bark. So about an hour or so after we all got tucked in, you know, in our sleeping bags, I could hear one of the guys, you know, like muttering. He's like, oh damn, you know. So I got up to see what was going on, and what he didn't, the guy that was going to get up at 4 o'clock to leave, he didn't set up a tent. He put his sleeping bag on the ground, but he didn't look. And right there was a log that was breaking up, and the ants, the carpenter ants, were eating it. All of a sudden, his sleeping bag filled up with carpenter ants. And they were biting on him and everything, so I got up and helped them out. We moved all the stuff to somewhere else. Like, oh, you got to pay attention. You got to look before you know, set up your little base. So anyway, yeah, I had the flashlight out, and I looked at these huge ants. They were traveling back and forth like on a mission, eating up the tree. So that's what happened. And then the next morning, he got up 4, and I could hear him getting ready. So we were just kind of snoozing, and then at around 6 o'clock, the rest of us got up, and we started cooking breakfast, and then we headed down. It was a, you know, pretty good time. And another time we went, and there was another place. It was nighttime, and you know, we had to climb the steep. This is towards the end. We had to climb the steep area to get to the top of the mountain. So the mountain was like this, and it was hard to get up there at night, you know, couldn't see anything. So finally I made it up to the top, and all of a sudden it was a starry night, and you could see this side and that side all the way down, and then the tree line. And it was very it was like probably a 15-degree pitch. So I found a nice flat, or relatively flat spot, and I set my tent there, and I went to sleep instantly or instamatically. But it was, you know, it was a good hike. Tomorrow is going to be a disaster on the highways. Highway 10 had a major fire. Now, there's fires once in a while, so you can't ignore it when you hear it on the news, because that's another fire. But this one was devastating. This one was underneath a bridge. Massive fire. So they just sent out an alert telling people to expect big delays tomorrow. Plus that highway's closed, so you have to find back roads, and they don't know when it's going to reopen. It's that bad. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll be back again when the day is new, and I'll have more ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too.